Well, 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 well.
I too am well. Now I know this video is directed towards someone else, but you make a lot of very generic statements here, and it bothers me, so I am going to address them.
I love you. Thank you for being you.
Aw, that's sweet. I love you too, buddy. You're like a big teddy bear. I just want to hug you. Maybe do a little bit of other stuff too, but we can talk about that after the show.
You're looking at a couple of atheists out there. I got a couple of atheists that I got to be careful because, they're doing everything short of threatening to kill me.
Well, you can count me out of that group, man, because I am a huge fan of yours. I think you are immensely entertaining.
It's funny because you get to a point on this YouTube business where some days you just want to shut off the computer and turn off the YouTube and forget about it.
Yep. Working in the salt mines. Gets tiring after a while, putting in those 14-hour days. I know just how you feel, buddy. You just want to kick back, watch some reruns of The Simple Life, drink some strawberry margaritas, maybe polish your nails.
I love atheists, don't get me wrong, but I don't understand how you could be an atheist and hate the sound of God's name.
Oh, I think we'll get to that later on.
It's really disturbing. Like, you talk about God to some people. You offer prayer for people. Because, I got a guy that's kind of, hating on me right now. And, he's an older guy. I know his time is short, right? And you can see he's angry. Like, he's just an angry man. And I just don't understand. Like, why would you want to be that angry in life?
Maybe a bad day. Maybe he's backed up. Shit, man, give the guy a break.
It's not so much that people don't believe in God.
Yes, it is.
They hate God.
We hate God exactly as much as we hate Lord Sauron, because the Bible is exactly the same as the Lord of the Rings. Bullshit. Get it?
You're not just an atheist. You hate the concept, the idea of a God.
Don't change your arguments in the middle of making them. Is your argument that we hate an extant being called God, or that we hate the concept of a God according to your definition? What is your claim? You have to make one or the other, man. You can't start making one and then switch to another and expect us not to notice.
And when you read the Bible, or you've had the Bible read to you, or you remember something your mother read to you when you were a kid, it just burns in you.
I never read the Bible when I was a kid. I didn't have religion around me for the first 14, 15 years of my life. Aside from maybe in the most peripheral sense of seeing it on TV occasionally. Religion had literally no effect on my childhood. And by the way, just so we're clear on this, and I'm sure you're not going to make this claim, but I was not indoctrinated into atheism. My parents didn't speak about religion. It wasn't as if it was a taboo subject, it just never came up. What that means is, they never said there was a God, and they never said there wasn't. I grew up into the default position, and as I grew older into my 20s, I hardened that position.
At the idea of having a God, because then you gotta understand that you aren't all that. It ain't about you.
You know what? I already think that. I'm not all that. It isn't about me. I'm one person contributing to the greater good. My fellow human beings are who I am accountable to and who matter on this earth. Their one life is all that they get, and I want to make their lives better. You see, that's the difference. If you recognize your own mortality, and you look around and you see that all there is are the other people and creatures around you, then all you want is to help them. But if you look around and all you see are slaves to God, and you see yourself as a slave to God, you might help other people, but you're doing it through the visor of, I'm doing this all for God. It's essentially a who gives a fuck about my fellow man mentality.
It was always about God. I got a 7-year-old granddaughter I took to church for the first time, and we were in the church and she was sitting on my wife's lap, and she looked at my wife and said, I get it. I know why we're here. And Yvonne looks at her and goes, why? And Tasia looks up at Yvonne and goes, We're all here for God.
Well, no shit, she's 7, and people had probably already been telling her that her whole life. Even if they hadn't been, one day in church is enough, because there's all these adults around saying the same thing. We're all here for God. It's called childhood brainwashing. Kids believe anything you tell them. It's especially easy when they're kids to brainwash them. I know it probably bothers you that I use that word, but that's exactly what it is. It's the exact same as feeding people low-protein gruel and love-bombing them to indoctrinate them into a cult. And that's why people believe equally fervently so many wildly different claims, if you just convince them properly when they're children, or with more difficulty when they're adults.
He's 7 years old. 7 years old.
7 years old. I think that's some pretty sick shit, frankly.
For God. The real God. Yahweh.
What?
You understand? Yahweh.
Oh, hey, man, what's up?
There's a second coming.
Yeah, that second coming's really been coming for a long time, hasn't it? Hey, how's that wandering Jew doing? Was he hit by the recession? Does he still have his job at McDonald's? You know what I hear a lot is, man, times sure are bleak right now. That second coming must be on its way real soon. Well, you know what? Times have been bleak for fucking ever. I don't know if you realize that. As a matter of fact, times right now are extremely good compared to what they have been in the past.
Now, here's another one of my arguments. And let me take a sip of coffee for this one, cuz.
Alright, cuz, I'll wait.
You know why Jesus Christ has to come back a second time?
Humoring you for a moment and pretending that this is all real, he didn't even have to come the first time. God could have just said, "Man, why am I punishing everyone in the world for some bitch eating an apple? Derp. I guess I'll just take that original sin nonsense off the boards. And you know, gee whiz, I sure did make people flawed. That was my bad. I think I'm just gonna forgive everybody, 'cause there's nothing they can do about it. I'll shut hell down right now." But no, of course not. No. Let's keep hell. Let's keep the concept of original sin, punishing someone for someone else's crime. And let's create a little cult of people that follow this one shaggy guy in the Middle East, among the hundreds or thousands of these prophets that were there at the time, who proclaims to be God, and tells them that he's gonna come back and spank all the people who don't fucking love him and adore him forever. Then God decides he's gonna leave behind no evidence that the man even existed, much less that he did any miracles and actually was the Son of God, but says if you aren't a gullible idiot and believe it for no reason whatsoever, I'm gonna burn you for eternity, because you absolutely totally deserve it. So, shaggy, narcissistic, hippie, psychopath prick, right? It kinda doesn't seem as retarded my way, don't you think?
Now imagine your kid is, at school, getting into fist fights all the time and getting himself beat up. And finally you go, all right, I'll step in. You go and you straighten it all out. You deal with the kids, you deal with their parents, you deal with the school, you deal with the principal. You deal with the whole situation. You clear it all up, and you let the kid know, okay, here's a set of rules you got to live by, and if you live by these rules, this ain't never going to happen again, and I'm not going to have to come back a second time.
And if you don't follow these rules, I'm going to stick you in my basement and flay you for 80 years straight. I think we have a few different words for those kind of people. Oddly, despite that they're perfect, infallible godly attributes, none of them are regarded as particularly good.
No reason for Jesus to come back twice. Why has he got to come twice? You know why? Because you don't get it. You have the set of rules, and you want to disobey the rules. You want to defy God, and now Jesus has to come back.
Okay, well, isn't Jesus supposed to have said that he was going to come back while he was still alive? Which means that he knew his entire sacrifice would be pointless? Which means that it was completely useless for him to come the first time, even if it actually was supposed to have accomplished something? Why didn't he just do whatever he was going to do on his second coming on his first coming? If he could see the future and see that people weren't going to get it after the things he did on his first coming. You know, if a man's trying to sell me a car, and he has this many inconsistencies in the things that he's saying, I walk out, and not as a bluff. I don't want his fucking vehicle. I don't appreciate being treated like a fool and being fed a shit story with the expectation that I will obviously believe it. You know, I know some inefficient people. People who seem to take the longest, slowest, most inefficient path to complete any task, and they always do a shitty job in the end. They're absolutely inept at what they do. Any one of them, no matter how stupid they are, makes your God look like a fucking imbecile.
I guess dying on a cross wasn't good enough.
According to you, the man burns billions of people alive for eternity. Take 1 trillion Hitlers, distill them down into one horrible human being, and you still have an infinitely less evil fictional character than your Jesus Christ. Because even torturing one person infinitely for any finite crime is infinitely more evil than a quadrillion holocausts. That's the nature of infinity. Getting some nails through his hands and feet, dying for 3 days, and then ascending to heaven to have a fucking throne where people worship him for eternity? Not much of a sacrifice there. So no, dying on the cross, of course, is just a myth. But if that was actually what went down, and we were expected to believe that that was some great sacrifice on his part, fuck no. What kind of a douchebag would try and convince you of that?
What happened today with the shooting with these young kids? These are kids. Little kids. How America isn't outraged is beyond me.
You don't have much of a finger on the pulse of the American people, do you? Pretty sure they're outraged.
How America isn't on their knees praying to God to put an end to the evil in this world is beyond me.
Yeah, because that's really done the job for the last 2,000 years. You know, now that I think about it, it's the laws and philosophies put forward by many of the great thinkers of our time, as well as the activists for human rights and so forth, that have really improved society. That's why there's so much less evil in the world than there used to be, despite the fact that maybe you only watch mainstream news and all you see are the horror stories that are used to get ratings. The world is a much better place than it has been, and the world is a much more secular place than it has been, and there is some correlation there, because people are no longer relying on praying and doing nothing. They're actually trying to think about what's happening and do something about it. Now let's take the case of a psychopath who would go into an elementary school and start shooting kids. What if this psychopath had received treatment for his problems as a child? If a way had been found to identify the problems early and help the child through them, either through a psychiatrist or through medication developed by scientists? What if it was made difficult or impossible for him to get a handgun, semi-automatic or otherwise, to do this? You see, these are the kinds of things that actually prevent this kind of situation. Sitting on your knees for a few minutes every day is worse than doing nothing, because you're actually convinced that you're doing something. Hardly anyone in the United States is non-religious. Probably the vast majority of that country's population is praying right now. Prays after every disaster, every tragedy. And what good does it do? No good. It does no good. And the reason is that they're not actually doing anything.
I'm not talking about the Christians, because I know your love. I know you are absolutely praying. I know you are absolutely shocked with the evil in this world. But I know those that are awake and that know what's really going on, and knows about Obama, and knows about the Illuminati.
The Illuminati? Well, okay. I don't know what that has to do with Christianity, but I guess if you'll believe one bullshit story, you'll believe any.
And knows about the evil in the world, and knows about Satan, and knows about God, and knows how real it is, and isn't confused by their own ego or their own preconceived notions that they know it all. Because their scientists are the smartest people in the world.
Scientists' preconceived notion is that they don't know everything. That's why they're scientists. They're carefully looking for answers to things that they know they don't know. The ones with the preconceived notions that they know everything are the ones who insist God is real and wants this and that and the next thing. Obama's evil, the Illuminati are real, Satan controls everyone I don't like. I mean, you're just throwing out assertions. You're convinced that you know. Meanwhile, the scientists are sitting there saying, wow, this stuff is pretty interesting. I don't know. I have some guesses. Maybe I should try testing those and see if they're actually true. When you try to distract your audience by casting your own failures onto someone else, it just makes you look like a fool.
Those that really know. Those that aren't afraid to feel the truth. They don't need evidence.
Well, at least you admit that your brain works like that feather in Forrest Gump, just being blown around by the wind of your brain's chemicals being released. No thought necessary, no good reasons necessary, just the influence of whatever mood-altering drugs my brain feels like excreting at any given time. I'm glad that you admit that.
It's the ones that don't believe unless they see it for themselves, are able to touch it, hold it, and wear it. You guys are the ones that could never handle being in a penitentiary, sitting in a jail cell. You couldn't handle it. Because all you would see is the walls. You would never be able to see past the walls. You guys would hang yourselves in about 15 minutes. You couldn't do it.
So your argument is that every single atheist and every single skeptic that has ever entered a prison cell has hung themselves within 15 minutes. Is that what you're saying? You know, although the incidence of Christians going into prison is higher than atheists going into prison, there's still the odd atheist that goes into prison, roughly equivalent to their proportion in the population. I'm pretty sure they handle it just the same as everybody else. You don't hear a lot of news stories about, wow, another 20,000 atheists hung themselves today. It's almost as if you think that no atheist has ever gone through any adversity. It's almost as if you think that I've never had my hard times. It's a little bit offensive for you to say, no, you haven't had any hard times. You don't have the strength to survive them if they happen to you. You need to lean on some imaginary supernatural dictator for support. You see, I have had my hard times, just as everybody has. And do you know who I lean on to get through it? Personally, I don't even really need to lean on the people around me. I don't want to burden them with that. They can burden me with that, but I don't want to burden them with that because I'm too polite. I lean on myself and pull myself through the situation. Jesus does not enter the picture. He doesn't even enter my mind. As I said, I grew up barely even knowing that religion existed. I had no concept of your Jesus character, your God character. They're as meaningless to me as Kermit the Frog and Fozzie Bear. You may be used to leaning on them because you think they're around. I've never had that, and so I've never had the feeling of needing to lean on them. So how am I capable of getting through a situation without trying to lean on Jesus? Because I'm human. Humans face adversity. It's the human condition. You don't need religion to get through it. We are built to handle it.
Satan's world. And not for much longer, because that clock is ticking.
Well, shit, man, it wasn't much longer 2,000 years ago. People thought Jesus would come back 40 years after he supposedly died. That poor wandering Jew, he's going to be all hunchbacked, his knees are going to be all fucked from wandering around. Man, oh man.
Now you want to ridicule me and make fun of me?
Yes, that'd be very nice. Thank you.
You want to bash God, and you want to belittle Christianity?
Not really, it's kind of more the Bible I'm interested in bashing. And Christianity belittles itself.
You get a good laugh now. Get a good laugh.
Oh man. Oh boy. Woo. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Because I promise you, you're not gonna get the last laugh.
Oh, what? But I have to be the ultimate everything. Damn it. What if I just keep laughing? Then it'll be the last no matter what, right?
The laugh that you get here will echo in your head while you are tormented in hell.
See, you keep saying these things as if they're absolute fact, but I have to ask you, how do you know? I know you say, oh, I just feel it. Fine, but what I'm asking is, where did you learn it? Where did you pick up the concept from? You didn't invent it. You either absorbed it through your culture or someone directly taught it to you. And what makes you an authority? Let me guess. A pastor told you? You read that part in the Bible where it's kinda sorta said? Whoever raised you told you? That's probably the most likely one. See, I don't regard you as an expert on what happens after death, because you're just some living schmuck. All you're doing is repeating hearsay that's been repeated for thousands of years.
But you're not an atheist if you get angry at the name of Jesus Christ.
Let's try an experiment here, shall we? Pretend that I walk up to you on the street, and I say, hello, GodsWatchingutube. Can I call you Gwat? I'll call you Gwat, as an abbreviation. I know your real name, but I feel that it would be impolite to advertise it here, so I'll call you Gwat. I walk up to you on the street and I say, hey Gwat, this is my very good friend Jigsaw. Yes, that's right, the one from the Saw movies. He's a hardcore atheist. He takes it to the point of being a religion. And I would like to let you know that if you don't stop believing in Jesus and love and worship my friend Jigsaw for the infallible moral example that he is, my friend Jigsaw is going to take you into one of his abandoned warehouses that he somehow seems to have a lot of and put you through the most horrendous torments. It's going to be awful. And unlike most of his victims, you're not going to have the opportunity to escape or to die. He's just going to keep you alive forever, using the advanced medical technology that he probably also has. So you had better stop worshipping Jesus, and start worshipping my friend Jigsaw and obeying every single command that he gives you. Oh, and by the way, I speak for my friend Jigsaw, so I'll tell you what the rules are that you have to obey. I make them up as I go along, but that's none of your business. Jesus ain't got nothing on Jigsaw. What would you think of me, Gwat, if I walked up to you randomly in the street and told you that? Would you feel that I was doing you a service, or would you feel that I was threatening you and generally being an asshole by gleefully proclaiming that my friend was going to torture you if you didn't believe the same thing that we two believed? It would be an absolute dick thing to say, especially if I actually thought it was true. Do you understand why you doing the exact same thing leads people to think that you're a bit of an asshole? I mean, for the most part, you are an alright guy. But this stuff you're doing, this fairy tale fear-mongering, this demanding that everyone believe the same way that you do, and telling them that if they're not just like you that they're going to be tortured, and that the being that would do this is good, it's immoral, and it's cruel, and it's despicable. And I know that you think that you're doing good, but you're not. All you're doing is driving another wedge into society. You were complaining about the issues that plague society, well there it is. Your kind of divisiveness. That doesn't help things. Gwat. This in-group, out-group mentality. Telling people that they deserve to burn for eternity just for not being gullible. You're pushing everyone else in society away. You're making everyone hostile towards everyone else. You're not contributing to the greater good, you're contributing to the evils that you're complaining about.
And Satan resides on this planet. You may want to research that instead of trying to get all these impressive likes and views on your YouTube and waking up every day to see how many likes and views you got. Why don't you research what's really going on in this world? Why don't you research who's controlling this world? Why don't you research where that eye on the American dollar bill, that eye on the top of the pyramid, whose eye is that?
Okay, I would like to research this in the same place that you did. Whose Angel Fire webpage was it?
Look up Psalms 14. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You already know. Just know when I say the word fool, you're going to read it when you look up Psalms 14.
Yeah, I know Psalm 14 alright. That's exactly the kind of outgroup demonization that I was talking about. That type of thinking is the reason for most of the large-scale problems in the world. At least international-type interpersonal problems.
Look it. There's a lot going on in this world, and what happened today with this business of school being shot up and little kindergarten kids being shot to death is so horrific that I am really, really praying that America gets cleansed of this evil. This is ridiculous. This is insanity.
It's insanity, yes. Some people are insane, and sometimes those people shoot up schools. That's how it works. What evil are you talking about cleansing America of? Atheism? Atheism didn't shoot up a school. A crazy person did.
And for those of you out there that want to attack me on a day that you should be mourning the death of these children, be ashamed of yourselves.
Sorry, when a tragedy happens, the world doesn't stop turning. Children die every day, I hate to inform you. And this video is particularly vile because you're trying to turn the deaths of these children into a viral delivery mechanism for your mental virus called Christianity. People complain about politicizing these kind of tragedies. You're religiousizing it. You're trying to guilt people. You're trying to scare people into believing your nonsense. I don't believe for 1 minute that you give a shit about these kids. I think you just see an opportunity to bitch about atheism and Satanism and whatever Illuminati thing that you're talking about. And I think that's pretty fucking disgusting. So I'm gonna call you on it. And don't try to guilt me into silence.
America's going through something. The world's going through something.
Do you remember that part in the Bible where God sends a couple she-bears to tear 42 children to shreds? You believe that actually happened, right? So how exactly is that better than this? How exactly is the world going through anything worse than it ever has before? Things are less bad now than they were. The difference is that now we have broadcast communications technology, so people know about it.
I'm still going to pray for you guys. Even though I know it's like putting a seed on a brick. The wind's just going to blow it off.
It's more like attempting to put a brick on a seed.
I am so sorry for where you're going. There is nothing I can do to stop it. You have decided that's where you want to go, and that's exactly where God's going to let you go. And when you get there, you are going to scream at the top of your lungs for forgiveness, and there will not be any.
You understand. I mean, I know this has been explained to you before, but you really must understand that atheists don't believe that hell exists. Right? Nobody's choosing to go to a place that they don't think exists. We also sincerely do not think that God exists. We don't necessarily think actively that he does not exist, we just don't accept the claim that he does. Personally, I think he doesn't. You have to actually demonstrate that this shit exists first. And if your God happens to be real, and he says, "Oh, no, you decided to go to hell. I'm not sending you there. You wanted to go there." And we say, "What? I didn't even think it existed, because all you had was a bunch of idiots screaming about it with no evidence whatsoever." And he'll say, "Sorry, no forgiveness for you. You had to be gullible, and you were too smart. Burn forever, and I'm never going to let you out." You really think that that is someone good, someone worth loving? If you love something so hideously evil, and I know I'm going to catch flack from this from the other atheists, but it makes you evil too. If I go around as a neo-Nazi and say how much I love Hitler and wish that we could kill more Jews, it makes me evil. That's the nature of it. If you love someone for the psychopathic, evil shit they do, if you sincerely love them for it, it makes you evil. That's the nature of evil. It's hopeless, man. I mean, you actually believe that people are going to hell and you fucking love it. You have to fucking love it, because if you don't love it, then you disagree with God. God loves it. He created this system. He's left it the way it is. He refuses to change it. It's the way he wants it, according to you. And you love him and you love everything he does, so you love it too. And you think you're going to look down from heaven and laugh at all those atheists burning in hell? Maybe your friends. Maybe your family members. Lots of people you've never met before. And you're just gonna, what, be perfectly happy about that? Enjoy heaven for all eternity? Not argue with God about it? Not tell him what a fucking prick he is? I guess so. That's what you're saying. You're one sick son of a bitch. I think you need some psychiatric help.
The Lord will send me fertile ground.
You know what? I really fucking hope the Muslims are right.
And if you gotta get mad at something, get mad at the evil outside your door.
You're outside my door.
What you're putting on the internet, children are going to see.
I sure hope so.
Stop delaying the inevitable. This world ain't right. The clock is doing this. Your time is running out. You just take a look around the world and see what's going on, and you'll know something ain't right. And I'm telling you what it is. That war in heaven is about to come here. Get on your knees and ask God's forgiveness. God bless you.